Video games are more often than not designed to make you feel good for getting good. But sometimes they're like, that's good enough. You don't have to get better than that. Just chill, all right? Cool down. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 15 games that call you out for being too good. Starting off with number 15, the Madden series. Football, like most sports, is more exciting when things are actually competitive. If one team has a commanding lead the entire game, it's not that much fun to watch, or in Madden's case, play. That's why the developers incorporated a pretty forgiving feature where if one team is up by like 21 or so points in the first quarter, the game gives the other player the opportunity to forfeit. While the losing player gets some time to decide whether or not to take the L, the winner gets a message on a pause screen that congratulates them for their skills and basically admits that the game matched you up with a player of much lower skill level. It's literally the game saying you're too good for the other player, so we're giving them the option to just give up, which is probably best for both of you. The winner then gets to move on to more interesting opponents, and the loser adjusts their expectations for life and where things can go from here. I mean, isn't stuck in a hopelessly unwinnable game. That's what I mean. At number 14 is Devil May Cry 5. During the prologue, you take on a seemingly impossible battle that most players are going to lose, but that's by design. You're not supposed to win against this first boss. That is how powerful he is. But if you're truly dedicated and have the skills, it is entirely possible to beat the boss and end the game right there. It's not easy, and it takes what feels like an eternity, but it is possible.
Is this my limit?
The call-out comes during the quote-unquote ending, with a message that says, indeed, this was the perfect conclusion all had hoped for. Obviously, in a sarcastic tone. It's text, but it's radiating sarcasm. It's sort of making fun of the player for going through all the trouble of beating a boss for what's ultimately a really disappointing conclusion. But we'll go ahead and say this too, if it were real life, yeah, it is actually the perfect conclusion everyone would have hoped for. At number 13 is Forza Horizon 5. Here's a bit of a call out on the more annoying side of the spectrum. In Forza Horizon 5, you win a few races in a row at a certain difficulty level, and the game starts challenging you to earn better rewards. And I understand the motivation here. The game wants you to not get bored, to test your limits, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I really do just want to win in a racing game without having to play perfectly. Like, do you really have to hound me about my chosen difficulty, devs? It's especially annoying when you're playing on actually a high difficulty level and you know your skill ceiling, but the game keeps recommending like, you should do higher. I'm the racing game doctor and my prescription is a higher difficulty level. I don't know why that's what came into my head, but it is. And I'll tell you this right now, that doctor's a hack, because if this is the best I can do and I'm doing great, but I know I can't do better than this, I don't want to go get smoked on a higher difficulty level. I don't. Stop telling me to do it. You think a doctor is going to prescribe like a crazier medicine? Maybe that's not the best. Maybe they will do that, actually. This metaphor ends here. At number 12 is League of Legends. Kind of an odd case, but I'd say it fits. In League of Legends, there's this one item you can buy called Jack Show the Protein. It's a legendary item with a high cost that functions like any other item most of the time. If you're doing particularly well in a match and you've got it in your inventory though, sometimes something bizarre happens. You finish a match with good performance, like you play particularly well, and suddenly there's a chance you'll get an automated message that says this: Jack Show deems you worthy and has absorbed your power. Then you immediately die. It doesn't actually count you towards the KDA or anything. It's just a weird little Easter egg that only happens if this item is in your inventory. And also, you have to play really good. It doesn't just call you out. League of Legends kills you for being really good at it. At number 11 is Infamous Second Son. Actually a twofer. The game doesn't just call you out once for being good, it does it twice. The first time can happen as early as the opening mission. If you do too well by the game's estimation, it'll automatically bump up the difficulty with a message that essentially says you're too good. Hey, we don't like how good you are here. We're going to bump up that difficulty. You can go to the settings and change it back if you want, but we're just telling you that's what we're doing. which is weird. Why do it if I can change it back? Like, why not just suggest it and let me choose if I want it? It's whatever, though. The second time happens after you 100% complete the game, which isn't all that difficult in this game, actually, but it's still a lot more work than just beating the game. After getting the achievement, the main character, Delson, actually breaks the fourth wall and talks directly to you, basically to tell you to stop playing the game and move on. To be precise, he says, "You know what, buddy? You and I have been through a lot, but I gotta tell you, officially, we're done," which I regard purely as a challenge. I don't care how bored I get. Yeah, I get it. You're done with everything in the game. There's no reason to stick around. So yes, technically I'm done. Challenge accepted, infamous second son. At number 10, it's the Total War Warhammer series. Forza's not the only game that straight up tells you to crank the difficulty if it thinks you're too good. Total War Warhammer, these games do it too. Much less common in this game, however. You really have to be dominating the game. But if you do, it gives you this message and says, "Your forces sweep all before them with ease and your troops grow bored. Perhaps you do too? Increasing the difficulty may be a good idea." Alright, so here's the thing. I don't care if the troops are bored. The troops are not real people. The troops are not even thinking in those terms. They're thinking in terms of very simple artificial intelligence scripting. Even good artificial intelligence scripting is pretty simple compared to the neurological prerequisites for boredom. It is pretty unlikely to show up for most players, and you can at least hide the message after getting it at first, so it's not super intrusive, but it's funny how the game's basically telling you that you might be bored, why not challenge yourself? How do you know what I enjoy? Maybe I enjoy an unfair fight. Huh? What do you think about that? At number 9 is The Binding of Isaac. It doesn't get a lot more blunt than this one. If you manage to 100% this game, you literally, you get everything done. And I'm going to emphasize, it's a truly gargantuan feat. But if you manage to do that, you get an in-game achievement with a picture of a stop sign that says, "Just stop." And that's it. There's zero room for interpretation here. The game's over. Thousands of hours have been wasted. You are free to move on. But what about one more game? It's fun. I like Binding of Isaac. Yeah, you only put a message like that in a game when you know it's not going to deter anyone and that they're going to keep playing anyway. And number 8 is Undertale. Did you know that this game has a hard mode? If you give your character a certain name at the start, the game gets populated by much tougher near-end game enemies. It sounds like an alternative way to play the game, a new challenge, but if you manage to get to the end of the ruins, the story ends really abruptly. It's just a joke ending where the boss fight that normally ends the ruins gets interrupted by an annoying dog. Then there's a title screen saying, "Hard mode, coming, maybe, don't count on it." And then you get some more dialogue that literally just makes fun of you for trying to play hard mode. Like, it literally calls you a tryhard and asks if you have anything better to do. Like, it's all ridiculous, just makes fun of the concept. Oh, you want more of a challenge? You're dumb. And number 7 is Red Faction 2. If you thought Undertale was weird with that, which it kind of is, but strap in for this one. Red Faction 2 doesn't seem like it, but the game actually has 4 different endings, which you get depending on how many optional objectives you complete, how many civilians you avoid killing, and how many Red Faction allies you manage to save. To get the best ending, you basically have to play the game perfectly, which can be extremely annoying, especially in parts where you have to keep your idiot allies alive. If you're somehow crazy enough to actually get the best ending, your reward is, well, it's something. The lame thing about the endings is that the actual images shown are the same, just that the description changes. In the best ending, your guy gets a government job, he writes a book that's a bestseller, and they make his adventures into a video game. It's dumb, but the last part is just, I don't know. It's revealed your ally, Shrike, marries a circus performer and becomes a star attraction in a theme park built over the remains of the bad guy's fortress, which, thanks for that, I guess.
Shrike remained in the Commonwealth and married into a family of circus performers. Eventually, he made his fortune as a star attraction at a new adventure theme park built on the remains of Sopot Island.
It's less of a direct call out, but the developers are kind of mocking you for going through the trouble of getting the best ending. It's so stupid and half-assed, joke's on us for caring about it. And number 6 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. A lot more straightforward than most of the things on this list, but it still counts. During training, depending on your performance, the game sets a difficulty level, so the faster you're able to run through the training course, the higher the difficulty the game recommends. Actually, it's kind of an annoying roadblock because the skills required to finish the training course really don't matter in the main game. Like moving quickly on higher difficulties, it's basically a death sentence, but still fun little mechanic to test the player's abilities. It's also the game that literally drops a nuke on the map if one player is simply too good, but it's less of a call-out and more just a total game-ending mechanic. There's no message, it's just a nuclear bomb that takes out both teams ending the game immediately. And number 5 is Disco Elysium. This is a game about solving a mystery. You play as a cop looking into a murder. But if you try to actually investigate the murder as professionally as possible, the game's just going to make fun of you. Your character's meant to be an emotional wretch, and the game strongly encourages you to do ridiculous or counterintuitive things just to see what happens. Depending on your choices, the game will eventually decide what kind of cop you are, like your cop-o type, as it puts it, cop-a-type. Most of the types are fun, like Superstar Cop, Apocalypse Cop, or Hobo Cop, which I'm not sure if is a reference to Clay Fighter or not. Pretty deep cut if you're aware of it. But the one thing you don't want to be is Boring Cop, which is the one who takes the most logical approach, the one who keeps the dialogue straightforward and doesn't make a fool of themselves or do much of anything interesting to just solve the mystery that you're supposed to solve. That's the point of the game. It's not the only time the game makes fun of you for doing what you're supposed to do. Your character can also develop certain political ideologies from left to right, and if you focus on kind of a middle-of-the-road centrist thing, the game makes fun of you, calling your character the world's most laughable centrist, which, I don't know, aren't most people that? I guess it's bad to be normal. Basically, being nothing but a bland, good cop gets you nothing but scorn and ridicule from the game. Pretty rare for a game to call you out in your dialogue options, but it's pretty relentlessly insulting to people who pick the good but boring options in RPGs. At number 4 is GTA Vice City. There's tons of games out there that like to insult, ridicule, and otherwise insult their player base for getting 100%, but Vice City is still one of the best. You probably know what I'm talking about. The stupid, I completed Vice City and all I got was this lousy t-shirt shirt. That's what you get for doing everything in Vice City, which is great, actually. It's just for bragging rights. But let's not pretend Rockstar isn't laughing at you for wasting your time here. The t-shirt's meant to be a bit of a mark of shame, or maybe not, I don't know. I mean, I guess whether or not it's meant as a dunce cap is kind of irrelevant. It's funny either way. And number 3 is Mother 3. When a game calls you out for being too good, it's usually some kind of fourth wall thing where the developers acknowledge your skills, but that's not how Mother 3 works. Mother 3 is, by the way, for those who are uninitiated, an unreleased in English markets Earthbound sequel. Near the end of the game, you're forced to participate in a series of games that are given out by the villain. You got to prove you're a good challenge for him, so you got to play through some mini games. Mini games in RPGs pretty common, but how this game uses them is anything but. So if you win, you actually lose. The host gives you a clue at the start to be competitive, but the important thing is they don't want you to actually win. That would hurt the bad guy's feelings. But you can't throw the match either. You gotta be competitive, so you gotta try. You gotta seem like you're not just insultingly like giving up, but you also aren't supposed to win. You gotta be at just a certain level, otherwise the bad guy, I guess, he's too butthurt for this to go on the right way. Literally, the in-game host calls you out on being too good. That's how it works in this one. It's a pretty clever little puzzle that goes a long way in showing just how delusional and pathetic the main bad guy really is. At number 2 is Jurassic Park: The Lost World, a game nobody would care about if not for this bizarre, hilarious message at the end from Dr. Ian Malcolm himself, Jeff Goldblum. You only actually see it if you get all the hidden collectibles in the game, and if you do it, Mr. Goldblum congratulates you in the most backhanded possible way and tells you to go outside. You know, he wants you to find a way with your life. We'll play on his famous Jurassic Park line there. It doesn't seem like he has a script. It seems like they kind of cornered him on the set and said, hey, we need you to talk for 30 seconds at the end of a video game. And he was like, I don't know. I don't know. What should I say? I'm not even joking. That's what it is, except for a lot snarkier.
Thank you for sticking with it, for not giving up. That is really something. Now you know what you should do? Turn the thing off, for heaven's sakes, and go outside. You know, breathe the air, take a walk, call a member of the opposite sex. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you have a whole life out there. Get the stink blown off you. Just go, really. Turn off. You.
And finally, at number 1, AVGN Adventures, a throwback platformer that calls back to the NES games, where games weren't built to be finished, they were made to be suffered through. And this game was brutal. Just finishing it normally is an amazing accomplishment, and there's an even harder difficulty level out there for the truly deranged, YOLO mode. It's literally a one-hit kill mode. If you get hit once, the game is over, and you have to start the whole thing all over again. Now, the game isn't long or anything, but it's extremely punishing, and finishing YOLO mode is an incredible achievement. It seems like the game isn't going to acknowledge beating this absurd challenge at all, but after the credits roll, there's a profanity-filled message that calls you a video game god and literally tells you to take a picture of this screen right now because no one will believe you otherwise. As far as callouts go, this one's pretty legit. The devs know what hell you went through to get this message, so their enthusiasm comes off as genuine. I mean, they still call you a nerd, so it's not super nice, but I mean, it's there. It's there. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.